Hi, Kim. How are you?
I'm doing well, Amy. How are you?
It's a bittersweet time. I'm so happy for you, and the whole organization's happy for you that you're moving on to this next chapter. But it's going to be really a period of dealing with not having one of our most amazing staff members around anymore.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, bittersweet for me too.
But on that note, before that transition happens, I just really wanted to ask you some questions. You've had this long and varied and rich career, and you have so much to offer in terms of sharing your insights and experience with people, especially with students and people who are earlier on in their career. So, I've got a couple questions for you today, and
For sure.
share your pearls of wisdom.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. So, it's kind of a trend in the last few years. You might have noticed that a lot of job seekers are really seeking a sense of purpose or meaning from their professional life. And I'm just curious about how meaning has played a role in your career.
Oh, that's a really great question. I think finding meaning in my career is something that developed over time. I think back, I started as a classroom teacher. I was barely 21. Uh, and by choosing that profession, I kind of knew where I was going to start out. It would be in a classroom, working for a school board, which made taking that first leap into my career, somewhat straightforward. But at first, I was completely caught up in, trying to do the job and just keep my head above water. So it wasn't really until I settled into my career that I started to kind of pick my head up and take more notice of the work that I did, what made me happy, what I was actually good at. And then I tried to make more conscious choices about the work I wanted to do, the contributions, I wanted to make, the professional relationships that I wanted to nurture. And as an example, I was really fortunate. I had some great managers in my career that really were mentors. And, I tried to give back in that same way by being a mentor. And I've done that at BCIT. I've done it through my professional association. You spend a lot of your life at work. And I've learned, that for me, doing good work with, good people is important to me. And it's different for each of us. So, my advice around that, I guess, is, try to enjoy the journey of getting there. I don't think you kind of have a sense of that meaning when you start out, and that's okay.
Well, I think that's a great insight. I think a lot of the time we're kind of hoping to start with that passion or that meaning and have that lead us in a direction. But it sounds
Yeah.
like for you and a lot of people, that actually comes later.
Yeah. It's hard to know because I think we get asked that question as career specialists all the time. Is this the right job? How did you know? When you took a job, and sorry, you don't know. So you do need to take that leap of faith and live with that choice, and then again, consciously say, what is good about this? What is not working for me? And then set about making a change.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice. Okay, so my next question, as someone with a lot of years of work experience under their belt,
Yeah.
what are some significant changes, either good or bad, that you've seen in how the job market works, from earlier in your career until now?
Ooh, yeah, another good question. Yikes. There's been a lot of change. I graduated from university in the early 80s. Okay, 1982. And that was just as there was a downturn in the economy. I'm a U of A grad. I was looking to work in Alberta, and Alberta is traditionally a bit of a boom and bust type of economy, and we were on the verge of a bust. So I was really lucky to get a teaching position. I taught for the Calgary School Board, and it was fantastic. I feel very fortunate at that time. I thought it was competitive then, but I think there's a whole new level of competition in today's job market. And when I say that, I hope that doesn't terrify anyone. It just is a reality. I've seen market ebbs and flows over the years. Competition, has become more intense, but there's always opportunity through that. Certainly, luckily for BCIT students, there's career specialists that can help, that keep their pulse on that type of thing and can help coach through some of those things. I think technology is probably something that's played a huge role, not just in the job market and all of that, but also in how recruiters recruit. We have applicant tracking systems, and certainly when I was a recruiter, that was becoming more to the fore. We've got other tools, LinkedIn and all sorts of other measurement tools and different things. So, technology is huge. When I graduated university, I think I took in my last semester, my first course, I did an online test. Yes, using a floppy disk. If you don't know what that is, look it up, kids. So, technology is huge, and that's an understatement. On the recruitment side, though, just in general, yes, there's technology and there's tools, but I would say that recruiters, I think, are more open these days to different experiences, to not having continuous experience. I remember back in the day, it was like you accounted for all of your work history, and it was like, oh, why didn't you work this 15 minutes? Like, what were you doing? And I think that today it's a little more flexible, and I hope that's encouraging for job seekers today. Of course, the pandemic market is weird and unique, but there are opportunities. And I think from a recruitment standpoint, if you can talk about, how you've adapted, how you've prepared, what you've done during this pandemic time, recruiters are very open to that in these days and times. Good news, maybe. Yes?
Yeah, absolutely. Always I think there's some good changes and challenging changes. Yeah. And just so you know, I used floppy disks too.
There you go.
So
okay,
you're not alone. I remember those. I remember writing on the labels what this is.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the question that's kind of speaking to potential regrets and not to imply that you have any regrets, but if you could go back in time, is there anything you would do differently in your career?
Honestly, no, because where there's been some ouches along the way, they've provided great opportunity for learning. I think that reflecting along the way, and I've tried to do that. I'm typically a reflective. I've done some assessments, and reflection has come up as kind of a part of my style. So I look back on some of those things and go, oh, that's maybe not my proudest moment, or I wish I would have done that differently. That's part of learning. So I don't know that I would change anything. And I've really been lucky. I've had great opportunity. I've worked in 3 different provinces. I've done contract work. I've taken on temporary assignments. And I've worked for companies for long periods of time, 8 and 10 years. I was a teacher for 7. Yeah, add up, do the math. I've been around a while. And I'm so grateful for each of those opportunities. So, I would say, be open to some of those different things, and the path isn't always straightforward, and I'm very grateful for that. It can be a bit uncomfortable at the time, and disconcerting because you don't know. But as I look back, taking advantage of those opportunities, I wouldn't change a thing. I guess one thing is, and this is cliche to say, it's the work-life balance thing. Too many times I think I was pulling up, screeching, yelling at one of my daughters, hurry up, get out, you're being late, and they had a ball practice or a choir rehearsal or something. And, I think my family deserved better. But we found ways to work as a family. So, I think that's maybe one thing I have the most kind of regret, if you will, and that is, not always being there probably as a mom when I should have been.
Well, those are great. Those are great insights, Kim. What is life without a little discomfort and challenge along the
You
way?
got
When you
it.
take that
You
out,
got it.
what is there?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
you failing?
My mom used to say, these things just build character. And I would look at her and I'd say, yeah, but mom, I'm feeling like I just have too much character right now. And she'd just say, yes, Kim.
Kim, you are absolutely overflowing with character, but in the best possible way. So
Thanks.
I wouldn't change anything. So I mean, kind of along, but this is, a different way of saying the same question, but is there something you wish you'd known earlier in your career?
Um, this is a hard one. A little bit of
No.
self-disclosure here. So I have high standards for myself. And thanks mom and dad for that. So I have high standards for myself, but I've had to learn that those are my standards and hold myself to them. So I've learned that, you can hold others accountable for their work. Certainly as a manager, I've had to do that. As a teammate, I've done that and hopefully tried to do it in a respectful and kind and empathetic way. But I've learned not to compare others to my standard. I think that's an important lesson that I learned. It's just not fair to do that. And I'm glad I kind of did figure that out. And the other thing that I wish I had really grabbed onto early in my career is take your vacation. You earned it, savor it, use it to rejuvenate, unplug. You will be better for it. You think that I can do this, and you know what? And then you realize that after you've had and taken the break, that wow, I really need this, and I needed that opportunity to recharge my battery. So take a vacation. I wish I'd learned that sooner.
Pretty sure everyone can take that advice. We're a bit of, yeah, work takes a pretty big priority in most people's lives.
Yeah.
So that's great advice. I'll take it. And, last question, is there, there's no way you'll be able to pick one highlight, but is there a highlight or a favorite aspect that you've had while working at the Student Association at BCIT?
Ooh, oh, another good question. I had an aspiration to work in post-secondary even from the early days. I loved being a student. I've been a student many times over in my lifetime and career. And so I'm so thankful for the opportunity to have come to BCIT, and I am an alumni. So it was kind of fun to come back. But I think what I love most about the SA and BCIT is in that environment, there's just this vibe of everything's possible. There's an energy and an optimism among students. They're embarking on something new or different, or they're, building on already wonderful careers and taking it in a new direction. They're gathering new skills. There's optimism. And for me, having an opportunity to be part of that is my favorite thing.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
It's pretty special being, part of that phase of people's lives when they're going through transition. Things are so dynamic, and getting to help people along in that process is very special.
Yeah. It's an honor for sure. Yeah. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, and I think I can speak for a lot of students and alumni who've gotten a chance to benefit from your electric workshop facilitation skills, the thought and time you've put into, coming up with events and your one-on-one coaching. I know that you've impacted students at BCIT really positively, and you've impacted me really positively. It's been an absolute treasure doing these virtual career tips with you. Easily a highlight of my career. And I've got some plans up my sleeve to have you back for guest spots in the future. So this is not
my
goodbye.
Pleasure.
Yeah. Definitely not goodbye, just see you later.
Yep, see you later. Absolutely. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate it.